Hi, everyone. Oh, you're all on mute. Okay. Well, hi, everyone. First of all, before I get into any topics, I wanted to share with. This is November 1st, and today we set our clocks back. I know you don't change your time in Africa. I don't know if you do in Europe, but it's always a crazy day, the day that you turn your clocks back, because you either get one less hour of sleep or you get one more hour of sleep. And so today was the day we changed our clocks. So I had to remember to make sure I got on earlier with you than normal. This is November 1st. I feel like the whole year has just disappeared in front of me. Sometimes I have a hard time remembering what day it is because they all seem to run together. And maybe that's happening for all of you. But anyway, we had a call first thing this morning about some of we always have a call on the first of the month to kind of say what's going on around the world and what kind of promos are going on. So I did want to share this with you. You might be aware of some of them. If not, then I want to share them with you. First of all, there's a worldwide $1 sign up. That means instead of $29 to sign into the business, it costs $1. I love it when they do this because it's a great time to recruit people because it's virtually almost nothing to get involved in the business. And when I share the business, in fact, I shared the business. I did an opportunity presentation on Friday, and when I talk about what you get for $29. Meaning that you get this website, you get this e-commerce shopping cart, you get this transaction machine to do credit card transactions. All of that's in your back office. And through your back office, you get shipping and delivery. And I talk about what you would have to pay if you had your own business, where you have overhead, where you'd have employees, where you'd have offices, where you'd have a warehouse, where you'd have to go to a bank and get a transaction machine to handle credit cards, where you'd have to have a truck to deliver. And I mean, when I talk about all the things that a lot of businesses have to pay for and how we have all that for $29, imagine how exciting it is to tell somebody you have all this for $1. So I think that's pretty exciting. And I know you don't have affiliates. Most of you, I know in North America, affiliates, signing up as an affiliate is $1. I know that's a program that will eventually come to all of you. Affiliate is just an internet seller. Sometimes we look at an affiliate as an influencer. A good example of an influencer would be Kim Kardashian or some of these actresses who have an internet presence, and therefore companies come to them. They offer them a lot of money and to move their product through their database, all their followers on social media. And what's happening now is that these big influencers like Kim are starting to lose their popularity because people are starting to realize that it's the smaller influencers that seem to be more trustworthy, that they seem to be very selective in the products they choose because they're working their way up. They're trying to build their business. They want to set a good reputation. Whereas some of the big influencers already have their reputation for maybe reality TV or movies or whatever. And therefore, it's not as important that the product that they promote is as perfect as it would be for a smaller influencer. But anyway, your promotion in the month of November is called Race to Executive. And let me tell you how that works. When you break an executive, in other words, well, let's start with somebody becoming an executive. If someone gets signed up in the business for $1 and they become an executive, which means they sponsor a person on their left and they sponsor someone on the right, they're now an executive, and they have to sponsor them with the minimum of a basic pack because that's 100 points. So if they sponsor with a minimum of a basic pack on the right and a minimum of the basic pack on the left, they automatically get an additional $50 bonus. if they become an executive and they sponsor someone on their left and someone on the right, but those people come in with a Supreme PAC or higher, then they're going to get a $100 bonus. So let me repeat that. If someone's new and you're sponsoring someone for $1 and you tell them, hey, you sponsor, we want to get you to executive straight away. So we want you to, I'm going to help you sponsor someone on the left, someone on the right. If that someone on the left, someone on the right comes in with a basic PAC, that you're going to, as the new executive, you're going to receive a retail first order bonus, which would be like $25 for each one, but you're also going to now receive an additional $50 bonus. But if you sponsor someone on your left and someone on your right with a Supreme PAC or higher, that extra bonus is going to be $100. So that's the race to executive. Okay, now the key is that we want you to be an executive maker. We want you to go out and make executives. So now this applies to all of you on this call. You know, you go out and you make executives, you're going to get $50 or you're going to get $100. How does that work? Well, if you make a new executive and that new executive's two people come in with a basic PAC, you're going to make $50. If you make a new executive and they come in and that new executive's left and right leg come in with a Supreme PAC or higher, you're going to get $100. So basically, that new executive is going to get 50, you're going to get 50. That new executive is going to get 100, you're going to get 100. So I think it's a great promo. And, you know, one of the things that we've talked about all along is how executive is really the common denominator. Think about it. If you make enough executives, you're a sapphire. And if you keep helping them create executives, they become sapphires. You're going to move up the ladder to ruby, to sapphire elite, to ruby, and so on. So, once somebody becomes an executive, we say, you know, now you know how to do it. Just keep doing it over and over and over and over and over again. The other thing I want to mention is in November, we have something called Black Friday. Black Friday has been around for decades. It's the Black Friday is the day after Thanksgiving. In the United States, we have Thanksgiving on the third Thursday of November. And, it had to do with the founding of our country, pilgrims, ships, all that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is we have Thanksgiving on Thursday, and then on Friday, all the retail shops open early. Some of them open like at 4 in the morning. Some of them open at 1 a.m. I mean, because it's the biggest shopping day of the year. And so the reason they call it Black Friday is because that is the day that helps retail stores get from the red to the black. Red means they're not making a profit. Black means they make a profit. So if they haven't made much of a profit all year, they hope to make it up on Black Friday, and they hope to sell so many goods in their store that they get into the black, which is the profit for their store. And so anyway, it's a good thing. So anyway, Black Friday is the biggest shopping day of the year. And so Jeunesse always participates in Black Friday because they want you to shop at Jeunesse before you go shop at the stores. So if you're looking for gifts for Christmas, you need to shop in your store first. And of course, not only do a lot of people shop online, now that we've had this pandemic, people who were not familiar with how to shop online have become familiar, which obviously has hurt a lot of the actual brick and mortar stores, because people who always went out to those stores, because of the COVID-19 or because of the coronavirus, they learned to shop online, whether it's Amazon or wherever. And so consequently, people on Friday will be looking for great deals on Black Friday online, but the Black Friday for online shopping in our country is the following Monday. So there's gonna be shopping on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So I'm just thinking that by the time people get to Monday, a lot of they've already blown all their money. I mean, they've already spent all their money. So it's kind of like the earlier, the better. So if you can get people to shop from the Jeunesse store which obviously makes you money and gives you points, that would be fantastic. So they're going to unveil the packages for Black Friday on November 16th. So on November 16th, you're going to see what's going to be available. And then they're going to have something new on there. They're not telling us what it is. They're also going to be unveiling all of the materials and marketing materials that you can use. Then on the 24th of November, they're going to have a kickoff party. And on the kickoff party, it'll be online. They're going to give away free stuff. And they're going to have trainings on how to use Black Friday from November 17th to November 30th. They're going to have trainings on how to take advantage of it, how to promote it to your customers, how to promote it through your organizations. And then Black Friday goes live. In other words, you can buy these packages or these things on Black Friday. They will go live on November 25th. And they will stay live from the 25th to the 30th. So there's going to be a lot of build up to Black Friday. The build up starts on the 16th when you see what's available. Then you're going to get all the trainings on how to take advantage of it starting on the 17th. And you have a party on the 24th, and bam, everything goes live on the 25th through the 30th. But I also want to mention that with these packages will be double travel points. So people who are trying to win their incentive trips, and I know for Europe, it's Dubai. I do believe in Africa, South Africa, it's Dubai as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. And of course, for North America, it's Cabo San Lucas. That's a Mexican resort at the bottom of the Baja, which if you looked at a map and you know where California is, just go south of California into Mexico. And at the very bottom is Cabo San Lucas, the Hard Rock Cafe, which is Cabo San Lucas is a beautiful place. So those are the promos. I also want to mention for Africa, you have a Jeunesse University on Saturday, November 28th. And that you need to look that up and make sure that you make your team aware of it. Part of being a really great leader in your team is communication, making sure all your people know about all the promos, that they know about the trainings that are coming up, that they know any new announcements. You're constantly informing them. So anyway, that's basically the announcements. And I was sitting yesterday and today, and I was thinking, what did I want to talk about on this call? Because I mean, I could talk about duplication. I could talk about the compensation plan. I could talk about I could talk about so many different things. And I thought maybe what I would do today for a few minutes is just have a conversation. And that conversation would be, I kind of wanted to share maybe my early journey, because I've never forgotten it, because it was such an important part of my life. And I always tried to stay in tune with what my struggles were in the beginning and what my journey was like, because I always feel that I need to constantly remember what it's like for that new person, or what it's like for some of you that, some of you things are going fantastic. Some of you might be stuck because it's not going as fast as you like, or some of you, sometimes you start to doubt yourself or wonder about, am I doing everything right? And am I doing, what am I doing? I can't tell you how many times I used to say, what am I doing wrong? Because I always assumed I was doing something wrong because it wasn't going where I wanted it to go. But for those of you that don't know me very well, I was introduced to network marketing when I was teaching at a university. I was one of these people that my parents always told me you needed to go to college and you need to get an education. So I went to college, and right after high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do or wanted to be. I kept changing my major all the time, because I think it's hard when you're 18 to decide what you want to be when you grow up, and you don't want to waste money, and you're in a university and you're trying to make that decision, but you're not sure what you like. Can you imagine? I always thought, wouldn't it be interesting is you spend 4 years becoming a teacher, and then you go out and teach and you decide, gee, I don't like it. So, because you don't really get to try it until you're like your senior year. I mean, you might have a little try when you're a sophomore, but anyway, I got my undergraduate degree, and my degree had nothing to do with sales. I was in, I had a double major. One was health, one was exercise physiology. I got my master's in physiology and motor learning. I worked on my PhD in biomechanics. I was going to take over a department in biomechanics. My whole future was laid out. When I was going to get my master's, I taught part-time at a public school, and I decided that, you know, I really wanted to teach in the university, because I felt when I taught in a university, I could be the one who impacts the teachers. I didn't want to just impact the students. I wanted to impact the teachers who impacted the students. So that's why I decided that I would apply to some universities. I applied to 2 universities, and both of them offered me a contract. And one of them was Kent State University, which was a big university in the state of Ohio. I took the job. I taught. I eventually ended up being on all these committees. I was head of the curriculum committee, which determined curriculum for teachers. I was head of the recruitment committee for our department at the university. I was really active. They asked me if I would coach varsity sports, and I did coach some sports. But I was also going to grad school, finishing my PhD, and they had a department of biomechanics, and I was going to become chairman of that department. So my whole future was laid out. But, you know, there was things that always made me pause. And that was, you know, when you're in some jobs, and in teaching is not any different, when they do a raise, it's across the board the same. In other words, if they have a 5% raise, everybody gets a 5% raise. I could be the best teacher, and somebody else could be the worst, and we all get a 5% raise. So there was something about that. We call that, you know, when you work hard and you become the best, or you work hard and you earn the next rank or whatever, we call that a meritocracy. And it's like, okay, I am motivated to be the best. But in this situation, it hardly motivates you to be the best when you know the worst is going to get the same pay across the board. So I can remember during the summers, I was off from teaching, and another professor asked me if I would like to earn some money during the summer. And he was a colleague, he's a professor at the university. He invited me to his house, and he showed me a business opportunity. At that time, it was Amway. I don't know if you know anything about Amway, but Amway is a huge business. It's probably #1 in the world, a multi-billion-dollar company. And I was introduced to that. And I thought to myself, you know, I was really excited. I thought, who wouldn't want to do this? This looks like you could make unlimited income. And so, you know, I started out just like everyone else. I just blabbed to everybody. I went out and said, you got to come and see this. And of course, some people came with their arms crossed, very skeptical. And I think sometimes, you know, I learned a lot about human nature, because there are people that would say no. I was so optimistic. And it was the first time I really realized that there's a lot of people who don't have vision, who aren't optimistic. Maybe they're fearful of failing. Maybe, you know, I don't know what all the psychology is behind it. But, you know, I also remember, you know, I would invite 10 people to my house to see the business, and maybe, you know, half of them would show up, maybe 5 would show up. And I used to find it very rude that that people would not show up, and they wouldn't even call to say, hey, I can't make it. Can I reschedule? I always thought that was rude. And I thought it was something to do with me. And I took it personal, and because I felt I was respected in my career. I thought I was well liked. Why would someone not give me the courtesy of a phone call? And so I thought maybe my perception of myself and what people think of me is wrong. But Then I found out in network marketing, they said, hey, this is the way it is, Paula. If you want 10 to show up, you need to invite 30, because you usually get about 1/3 will show up. And so once I found out that this happened to everybody, it gave me a lot of relief, thinking, well, maybe it wasn't just me. And so I started to build the business, but it was shortly after that that my sponsor quit. And then his sponsor quit. And so I went up to the third person up, who was a professor at a university, and he was very arrogant. I thought, I can't work with him. So I went to the fourth person up. He was a insurance salesman, and he was all over the place. I couldn't work with him. So I ended up going up to a guy named Harold Miller, and he was 5 people up from me. Now, I want to make a point here. I sought out help, but I want you to understand that there's people in your business that don't seek out help. They just fade away. They think, well, my sponsor quit, maybe I'll quit. Or it must not be that good if my sponsor quit. And if my sponsor's sponsor quit, I know it can't be very good. So, I was the person who reached out looking for help. And the guy I found to help me was a factory worker. And he was a factory worker for Goodyear Tire. Maybe you've heard of Goodyear Tire. He'd go to work early, come home at 4 o'clock, take a shower, get into a suit, have dinner with his 6 children, and then he'd drive over to my house to show the business for me. His name was Harold Miller. And I learned some lessons along the way. First of all, I loved Harold Miller. I wrote a book called Owning Yourself. I think it's on Amazon. And I wrote it years ago. And I dedicated it to Harold because I loved Harold. He had no ego. He helped me as far as he could help me get to his position. And then he handed me off to his diamond, because he thought that would help me get to the diamond position. He wasn't greedy. He wasn't selfish. He was humble, and I loved him for it. But I learned a lesson along the way, and that was that the only way I could show the business is if I had Harold. So it made me realize early on that whoever holds the marker makes the money. So I needed to learn how to do the presentation myself. I couldn't depend on anyone else. I had to learn to present it. So what I did is I would record Harold doing it. I would transcribe it. I memorized it so I could do it verbatim the same way he did it. But as I've matured in the business, and as many of you mature, I find that when I'm showing the opportunity, like I showed it on, like I said, Friday, when I'm showing the opportunity presentation, there are certain parts of the presentation I believe that give you a little bit of a tiny rush. You know what I'm saying? And so what I try to do is, if I'm going to show somebody the business, why not show those parts that give you a rush? In a cartoons, when you read cartoons in a newspaper and one of the cartoon character punches the other, they put the word pow, P-O-W, like pow, boom, punch, And I thought in a presentation, there's little pows. Let me tell you what they are for me. What they are for me is the story of Randy from poverty. His Rag to Riches story. He's got a new book out, and it's a great book called From Mud Pies to Blue Skies. Great book. And so his success story from poverty to creating the software for NASA, I think is a pow. I think that's a great thing. And then when I get to the point about that their focus is helping poor children, and when you realize how much money Jeunesse has generated, and that was one of the goals. 2 goals that they had. One was to help adult entrepreneurs like you and I take control of our destiny and be able to create the kind of future we want. But their second goal was to create enough money to help poor children and pull them out of poverty and build agricultural communities, drill freshwater wells. They just started an entrepreneur school for young adults so they can learn to be entrepreneurs in Africa. I mean, when you read, when you realize that the mission is so pure where this company started, And another POW for me was hitting $1 billion in 6 years. I mean, that's so unbelievable, because since the record in network marketing was 21 years by Amway, I mean, to hit it in 6 years is just mind-blowing. That's a POW. And then, there's so many products here. And this was a problem I had with Amway. With Amway, they probably had 100 products. They probably have 500 now. And, I never knew when I started the business where I would focus on what products. And so I finally learned to just focus on one or two. If I focused on one or two, it didn't seem so overwhelming. I just became an expert on one or two products. And in this business, I will scan a few products during the presentation, but I'm not going to go through all the products. Maybe I'll point out a few products that made a difference for me. What I really want to impress on them as a POW is the fact that Gia Papa was nominated for the Nobel Prize. That's a catchphrase. I mean, that kind of gets your attention. When I do the compensation plan, I try to simplify it if I can. I talk about two structures, a family tree. Everybody knows a family tree. Have you ever been to a family reunion where you have people at that family reunion that may be 6, 7 generations away? I mean, it's a massive family reunion. I mean, they might have hundreds of people at a family reunion and if you talk about a family reunion, you talk about a family tree, people get it that you're going to have more grandchildren probably than you have children. And you're probably going to have more great-grandchildren than you have grandchildren. And you're probably going to have more great-great-grandchildren than great-grandchildren. And so it's going to grow. So if you're going to match the income of 7 generations removed, a percentage of all that, obviously you're going to be making money from people you don't even know. I mean, and so what's so great about Jeunesse is that they pay you for doing the right thing. And what's the right thing? Rolling up your sleeves and helping other people succeed. I mean, you can't believe I was with network companies early on, and Amway was just like this, where if I built MCO to a certain position, then she broke off and I never made another cent except maybe a leadership money. And then let's say my requirement was I had to have so much volume in my personal group. Well, when she reached a certain position, she broke off from my personal group. Now I had to replace that volume that I just lost from her team, So what would happen is there would be some people who are greedy, who didn't want her to break off, who wouldn't help her. Well, Jeunesse has taken that away. They encourage you to help and they pay you for helping people. But when I talk about two different structures. When I talk about the matching bonus, I talk about a genealogy. And I actually have them envision me having this genealogy 7 generations deep of all these children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, so on, all the way 7 levels hanging from a clothesline. And then I tell them, envision me pinching the clothesline in the middle and pulling it up. What would happen? And they say, well, part of that family tree would fall down this side and part would fall down that side. And I says, yeah, that's the binary part of our business. And so when I explain it like that, and I try to make it simple for them to understand, and they grab the fact that they're going to make a piece of every product that's purchased from Jeunesse. So in all that binary, and all these hundreds of people, and they could be in 100 countries. Our business is in 100 countries, and we make a piece of every product that moves in 100 countries. Can you imagine that? And sometimes I used to get excited when they'd show geometric growth. So sometimes I would show like that power of 1. So they could see that, if 6 people each sponsor 1, the next month there'd be 12 people, and the next month there'd be 24. And then I just add them to the sponsor to make it 25. And then it goes to 50 and 100 and 200. And they see that, and they see how in a year you could be making almost $30,000 a month, because the volume created from that is unbelievable. When I showed this woman that on Friday, she went, oh my God. And she wanted in right away. Why? Because I focused on the hot things, the I just didn't go through every little detail of it. I went to the hot spots and the things I knew that excited me. So I figured I took a chance it would probably excite her. So getting back to my story, you know, I tried to focus on a few products. The other thing I did is I realized that I could be selling product, but I didn't really want to be a product salesperson. And I thought I could be selling product, but I would never make a lot of money because there's only 24 hours in a day. So I can only sell so much product in 24 hours. I can't make more money. And I try to use the example of McDonald's selling so many hamburgers a day, then they got to start over the next day because their enemy is 20 time. They only have 24 hours in a day, then they have to start over. It's the same, but this is a problem that all professionals face. Doctors, dentists, they can only see so many patients, they can't make any more money. So, you know, I thought to myself, I'm becoming just like them. If I just focus on product only, then I'm going to have a business that's dependent on my ability to perform, which means I'm going to have a time limit, you know, 24 hours in a day. So I realized I needed to build outlets. I needed to find people like me. And, you know, I have to tell you, I recruited anybody who walked. I tried to recruit anyone who would fog a mirror by breathing on a mirror under their nose. I tried to recruit everybody. And I want you to know I had the biggest group of do-nothings in the world, okay? I had a group where every time we had an event, I had to call them up and say, are you coming to the event? You got to come to the event. And I'd resell them on the business. And then I'd call up another person, you're going to come to the event? I'd resell them on the business to get them to the event. And sometimes they showed, sometimes they didn't show. But I can remember saying to Harold, I said, Harold, I feel like I've got a job. All I do is I sell them on getting in the business. Then I sell them on coming to the events. Then I sell them on buying product and keeping their auto ship. And I mean, I'm getting tired. I don't have time to do this. I got a job. And, you know, I realized that the guy that sponsored Harold, his name was Jody. Jody was the diamond. And I was trying to reach a goal, and I just had the biggest group of deadbeats you'd ever imagine. I mean, I had people, and they all talk the talk, you know, oh, Paula, I'm going to build this. I'm all excited. I'm going to do this. And then they go home and do nothing. So, you know, I'm one of these people. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I do it. So I thought everybody was telling me the truth, but they weren't, you know, and so I realized, and I was becoming emotionally attached to these people. Because what would happen is they say, I'm going to go to the top with you. I believed them. So I got all excited. And then when they did nothing, and I'd get all depressed. And then I get the next person, I get all excited because I thought this was the key person that's going to do it with me. They did nothing. I got all depressed. And I realized my emotions were like a roller coaster to the point that I was getting wore out, emotionally wore out. I couldn't take it anymore. I just couldn't take it. And that's when I tried to go for a goal. And Harold had my organization come over to my house, and everybody said, yes, we want to help Paula get to this position. It was called direct. That was the name of the position. And so everybody raised their hand. We're going to help. We're going to help. I'm going to have these orders. I got people are going to do this. And you know, everybody went home and did nothing. I was crushed. I was so crushed, I was going to quit. So if you've ever wanted to quit, I know what that feels like because I wanted to quit. And I was at a point of tears. I had worked for like 18 months and I was nowhere. I had a deadbeat group. Nobody was doing anything. I didn't reach the goal. I was so disappointed. And Jody said to me, he said, Paula, if your group doesn't excite you, you have the wrong group. And I thought that was just the stupidest advice I'd ever heard, because first of all, of course, they didn't excite me. And my group didn't excite me. I had to excite them, and I was getting tired of it. And then he said, if your group doesn't excite you, you got the wrong group. Well, how do I know what a right group looks like? What does a right group look like? And I finally decided I was going to quit. And I really came, I'm telling you, this close to quitting, this close. And the only thing that stopped me is I thought to myself, will I beat myself up for years to come for being a quitter? And then I decided, okay, if I'm not going to quit, I can't go this route any longer because I'm miserable. I hate the business. This is where I came up with the saying that sometimes we have enough of the business to make us miserable, but not enough to make us happy. Meaning we know how much the business can do for us and how successful we can be if we work at it, but we're not there yet. So we're miserable because we know where we could be, but we're not there. And so I made the decision, number one, that I wasn't going to quit. And I made the decision that I was going to never quit, that I was going to be in it for life. I was going to climb to the top of the mountain or be dead on the side. And I also decided that I had to do it differently because I was too miserable. And how I did it differently was when I talked to people about the business, is I decided that I was going to determine who came into my business. You know, just because they fogged a mirror, just because they walked, just because they were a human being doesn't mean they qualify. Later, I found out that 50% of the population are really not available to you because 50% of the population are really more job oriented. They need to have a job. And so I need it, but they'll fool you because they'll tell you I want a new house, I want all this money, I want this, but they fool you. So I decided how I was going to be different. I was going to be selective because I thought to myself, you know, when you go to a job interview and you sit across the desk from the interviewer, you're trying to answer all their questions. You're trying to prove that you're qualified to get the job. But if the interviewer climbed over the desk and grabbed you by the throat and begged you to take the job, you'd probably back off and say, whoa, what's wrong with this company? What's wrong with this job? Why are they trying to sell me on taking it? And I realized I was selling people on the business. I was pitching them to get in. And I needed to do just the opposite. I needed to have them qualify as if I was an employer. I needed to be more selective. I needed to tell them, this is what I'm looking for in a person. This is what I'm looking for in a business partner. And, you know, and let them convince me. I know that sounds weird, but I'm going to tell you, it changed everything. The other thing I did is when I did a presentation, at the very end of the presentation, I said, listen, I'm going to the top in this company. I had made the decision, remember, I'm going to be at the top of the mountain or dead on the side. So I told them, I made a statement. I'm going to the top in this business. I'd like you to go with me. I think we'd be great together. But either way, I'm still going to the top. So what that said to them in a very polite way, that their answer, yes or no, was irrelevant. And then I started to understand statistics because I took a statistics course in grad school, and it was advanced statistics. And they talked about how the election polls worked. They talked about how the TV ratings worked. And they talked about how you have a certain number sample. You've got to have so many yeses and so many nos. And out of those yeses, you would get so many people that did the job. So I started to look at my business, and I made a list of everyone I had originally sponsored. And I checked off, first of all, I made a list of everyone I'd shown the business to. And then I checked off everyone who had gotten involved. And then I circled everyone that got involved that actually did something. And my numbers came out to like, for every 5 people that I showed the business, it was like maybe one, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, for about every 5 people, I had to show 5 people to get 1 person involved in the business. And out of every 5 people that got involved, 1 actually did something. That was terrible numbers. But, you know, I got better at the presentation, but more importantly, I got better at my commitment. Because let me tell you something. People want to follow people who know where they're going. No one wants to be a part of your test. So if people feel you're just testing the water of the business, you're testing the water, they're not going to get involved with you. Or if they do, they're going to sit back and watch you. But you know, when I would tell people I'm going to the top and they knew I was going with or without them, no one said no to me. It's like they all said yes. Why? Because I was committed. They wanted to follow somebody committed who knew where they were going. And I thought I was committed before, but it wasn't until I almost quit and I recommitted that all of a sudden there was a change in my voice. There was a change in the intensity of the way I presented. I never begged. I never coaxed. I never tried to convince somebody to get in, because I learned if you coax and convince them to get in, you're going to have to coax and convince them to do anything. I don't have time to be somebody's boss. I want somebody who wants to run with me. And so all of a sudden, what changed was me. I changed. I changed. I became committed. I became serious. People picked up on that because of the way I presented. And then all of a sudden, people started to say yes. And then my numbers changed. Then for every 3 people I showed, 1 got involved. And every 3 that got involved, 1 did something. So you think to yourself, how many people do you want to do something? Do you want 10? All right, you want 10 to do something, then you're going to have to sponsor 30. And in order to get 30, you might have to show 150. You say, oh my God, 150. How can I show 150? Well, you know, how many days in a year? Show 1 person a day for 6 months, or show 2 people a day for 90 days. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not hard. That seems like a big number, but I'm going to tell you, when you get to certain positions in this business, even if you're a strong sapphire elite and you're making $5,000 a month, that's $60,000 a year. So how many people would you show for $60,000 a year? Become a ruby. That's close to $10,000 a month. That's over $100,000 a year. Would you show 150 people? What if it took you 2 years? What if it took you 3 years? What are you doing now that in 3 years you're going to be making over $100,000 a year? What are you doing now? But you know, the one thing that was really important in everything I did is I had to set my daily plan. How many were I going to talk to every day? Because if I missed a day, maybe it didn't mean any difference. But if I missed 2 days or 3 days, then I was 2 to 3 days behind. And if I did it the following week, I'm 6 days behind. If I did it the following week, I might be 9 to 10 days behind. You know, and then it's these little things we do that we need to be consistent at, because we have the long range vision of where we want to go. And that's what I did. I talked to somebody every day. I don't care if it was snowing, if it was raining, if I had the flu. I didn't let myself miss, because I had the long range picture. And you know, before, when I was miserable, there would be people who came in the business and they would pass me up. And I would be so angry. And I'd say, what's wrong with me? But when I started to be consistent and do the day in and day out things that I promised, I went right up the ladder. In no time, I was making more money per month than I was making in an entire year teaching. Can you believe that? Eventually, I asked to get out of my teaching contract. And you have to understand, you think I'm really confident now. I wasn't confident in the beginning. I had to read a lot of books like The Magic of Thinking Big, The Magic of Believing, and I'd read stories about other people who become successful to keep me inspired, to keep me in the game. But one of the things I think I was good at, and that was being a team leader. I learned a long time ago that people might not remember what you did for them, but they will remember how you made them feel. And I always thought to myself, I want to make people feel good. I want, when people are around me, I want them to feel that I care. I want them to know that I'm proud of their accomplishments. I want them to know that I'm here to help them. I want them to know that they're part of an organization that really, really bonds together and wants them to succeed. You know, I had a person that left the business that I had lunch with about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And they happened to be in town, and we sat at lunch, and they were pretty good pin in my business. I mean, they were good, and they cried because they missed me and they missed the camaraderie of the GPG team. They missed it. And, you know, it was hard. It was hard on me because, you know, I'd love for them to come back, and maybe they will at some point, but, you know, they were, you know, they kind of got a whole team committed to this whole different product, and they're unhappy where they are. But, you know, it's true. It made me, I was sad about that, but later on I thought, what a great thing it is that people who are part of this know that they count, that it's the human experience to believe that you make a difference. It's the human experience to feel that somebody thinks you're important. It's that human experience to be valued. And as a leader, when you sponsor someone, that has to be one of your biggest commitments, to make those people feel important, to dive in and help them succeed and teach them what you know, and rely on your upline to help teach them, you know, what you don't know. If you're new and you're all learning together, that's one thing I found is I don't have to learn everything first. We can all learn together. So if I'm new, they can come in, we'll learn it together. I mean, we're not, you know, this is not a hierarchy. This is a place where you come to experience, you know, real support, people who really care that you were here and that you make a difference. And, you know, I look on my life right now and back now, and I think to myself, I almost quit. I seriously almost quit. And I think to all the people that I've helped get out of jobs they hated, I've helped so many people become millionaires. I've helped so many people change their lives totally. And I think to myself, even when I was in college and I was 18 and I didn't know what I wanted to do, it's because I didn't know anything about network marketing because they didn't teach that in college. But I didn't know that that was what I was made to do, that I was made to go out there and not change kids' lives in schools and not change teachers' lives in how they teach the kids. But my goal was to change everybody's life. Anybody that I can come in touch with, that I can say to them, this is the vehicle, and you're going to be frustrated. You're going to feel like you're doing something wrong, and you're going to times want to quit. And if you haven't wanted to quit a number of times, then you're just not working hard enough. That's the way I feel, because, you know, this is part of the journey. I mean, it's almost like a class in psychology of yourself. You know, can I overcome myself? Can I overcome my fears? Can I overcome my doubts? I mean, I used to be one of these people that couldn't look you in the eye when I talked to you because I had such a poor self-esteem. And, you know, I just telling you, you know, you have no idea some of the most successful people, some of the personal development journey that they went through. And one last thing I want to tell you that I think is important, because I didn't know it at the time, but I was really tapping into the universe to help me. And what I mean by that is, you know, I would put on the wall whatever that I wanted to become a diamond in Amway. A diamond, there was like 1 million people in Amway and only 300 were diamonds. But a diamond was a big deal. And I thought if I could just become a diamond. And I would put on there on my wall that I was a picture of a diamond. I focused on being a diamond. But what I did is I envisioned what the night of celebration would be when I reached the position of diamond. I actually envisioned what the stage would look like. I envisioned all the successful people welcome me to the stage and shaking my hand and welcoming me to their ranks, because they would have known the journey and the hardship I did to get, because they had been through the same journey. So I envisioned what it would look like. I envisioned what music would be playing. And every time I went out to do a meeting, I played the music to and from the meeting. Even if I went to a meeting and no one showed up, even if an opportunity meeting, because at that time we were doing them in people's houses because we didn't have the internet. If I would envision what it would feel like, I would envision everything about that, me reaching that goal. And so I played it on the way to an opportunity presentation. Even if nobody showed up, I still played it on the way back. So I envisioned my future as if it had already happened. Little did I know about the law of attraction. You know, we're all electrical beings. We vibrate. You know, if you study science and you understand atoms and molecules, you understand that all things are vibrating. And so we as human beings are vibrating. And you know, when we put out thoughts, thought is an electrical current, and thought attracts other electrical currents to you. So if you put out a thought, it's like a magnet. You know, if I hold a magnet over a paper clip, the paper clip will jump off the table to the magnet. How does that happen? I don't know. I mean, there's no string attached. It just jumps through clear air and right to the magnet. Well, that's what a thought does. You put a thought out and it attracts more thoughts. That's when you say, I'd like to have a certain car. And you keep thinking, I've got to have this car. And you envision yourself driving that car as if you already have it. And the next thing you know, everywhere you look, you see the same car. You know, it's like, you know, I wanted this car, and now I see it on this freeway or motorway. I see it over in this parking lot. I see the car everywhere, because your brain has a filtering mechanism that filters out anything that's not what you want. So I learned something really important later on in life. And that was that if I put out a thought like, I want to be a diamond, that tells the universe I'm not a diamond yet, and therefore continue to attract not a diamond. But if I put out into the universe I am a diamond, then I attract everything to me that makes me a diamond. But the key here is I can't just say it. I've got to emotionally feel it, because the universe communicates through thought and emotion, not through words. So I think and I attract. I think and I attract. If I can get emotional, I attract faster. If I can add music to my life that makes me emotional, I attract more. But that's why, you know, if people say, I don't have enough money, well, then they attract not having enough money to them. So they have more of not enough money. And I know this is hard to transport yourself into a vision and an emotion that you have a lot of money. That's why some of the most successful people that I studied, whether it was the Jim Rohns or whatever, always said, put $100 bill in your pocket, don't spend it, just keep feeling it, because it makes you feel like you're prosperous. And if you feel prosperity, you will draw prosperity. If you feel lack, you will draw lack. If you're jealous of other people, then because what happens to them has nothing to do with you. There is so much abundance in the world. You know, the best way I can describe it is a cold. Do you think if you really wanted to, you could go catch a cold? Sure you could, because colds are abundant. Can you catch prosperity? Yes. There's prosperities all over the place. Because somebody has prosperity doesn't take it away from you. Your jealousy of it does. But if you wish them well and imagine prosperity in your life, it'll come to you. If you imagine a lot of people in your life, it'll come to you. You know what happened? I did become that diamond. In fact, I became a diamond in 4 years, which at that time was the fastest diamond. And I became the first single woman to hit diamond in all of North America. So I know as living proof, if you want something bad enough, you commit yourself, leave yourself no outs. You have your daily plan. day in and day out. I did it day in and day out, even when no one was watching. I just kept doing what I promised myself I would do. You will succeed here, because there isn't just these people succeed or those people. Everybody can succeed. They just have to overcome themselves. You just have to fill your mind with prosperity thinking, read things that make you believe in yourself, connect yourself with the people that can help you, and go out there even when you're scared to death, when your knees are knocking and you think, how come I going to talk to this person? Talk anyway. Talk anyway. Do it anyway. Push yourself through it anyway. Push yourself through those fears, and you will not fear it ever again. So I talked a lot longer than I planned, but I hope some of these things helped you. And I'm so proud of all of you to be a part of our family. And let's try to get this 2020. Let's try to end it with a bang. You know, they're doing a lot of promos to help us. I think we can make a lot of great things happen, even in these next 2 months. Even if we have to be doing it online, we're going to do it anyway. Even if, I look at the people who succeeded in Jeunesse at the beginning when they only had one product, when they didn't have some of the videos and things we have today. It's almost like we have so much. I mean, it's almost like, why can't we succeed? I mean, I did it when I didn't even have the internet. You know what a long distance business for me was in the beginning? 50 miles. That was a long distance business. I mean, everything I had to do on a phone. We didn't have a mobile phone. I had a phone with a cord. I mean, couldn't even walk far away from the phone. I mean, and I'm not going to take you back to medieval times, but I'm telling you, if I can do it back then, you guys can do it now. So anyway, let's make it a great evening. Let's make it a great week. And we'll be in touch. Thanks, everyone.